I don't really enjoy giving you my personal experiences, but maybe let me just give you one. I'm in How Mine, which was the second assembly given to me in the Apostolic Faith Mission. First, I was in Shangani Mine, which was a mine, of course, and then after that, I went to How Mine. Now, from the house we used to stay, it's like just 2 kilometers. There is a man-made dam, like a small lake. I think it's about like maybe we can say 600 meters by 600 meters. It wasn't that big. I think they had actually used excavators and dozers to create that pond. And there was fish in that little dam. And I would go there every morning. Sometimes I would fish from 8 to 10. Just 2 hours and I'm done. Sometimes I would go there 7 up to 10. I would sit at the bank of the dam, cast my rod, my line into the water. And the majority of the fish in that dam was actually, I think there was only 2 types. The other was the bass fish. And I'm there every single month. It was like a commitment. I wasn't doing that for pleasure. We needed something to eat. Okay? So, what I would do then was to go there, fish. By 10, if I didn't catch anything, I would go for prayers. I would move from that place. There is I would say like 3 kilometers or so from that place, and there are people there right now who know about this place that I'm describing. I would then move away from the dam, go up there is a high mountain, and I would go beyond that mountain. There was a little mountain. And the reason why I preferred that little mountain beyond the bigger mountain was because the location, there was the high density and the low density where miners used to stay, the location. It was like in the valley. So anything on the mountains, you would see it. Okay. That's why I'd prefer going beyond the bigger mountain. And I would go to the smaller mountain behind that larger mountain. I would go there and spend the rest of the day praying. So what I would do is fish for about 3 hours from the bank of the dam. If I catch anything, I wouldn't go for those prayers. You have to hear this. Because then I have fish which needs to be taken back home. Otherwise it rots. You can't spend the whole day in the mountain with food. So if I catch, I go back home. If I don't, then I go for prayers. I want you to follow this. So this day I was fishing from 7. It's almost 10 now. I haven't caught anything, and there wasn't much big fish there because you would have poachers coming in during the night and casting their nets. So it was so hard to catch even a single fish in that dam. So whilst I'm fishing, here comes a certain man. He says, "Oh, how are you doing?" I said, I'm doing fine. "Oh, are you catching?" I said, "Hey, I've been here for about 3 hours now. I think nothing is happening here." And then that man, what he did was there was like very high grass, like the weeds that you usually find close to the river. Then he stepped on one of the weed, very, very huge like this. And then he stepped on it with his shoes, and then he sat on that. So whilst he was sitting there, we began to talk. And he was asking me about the types of baits that I was using and so on. And after a while, I said, I think my time is up. I need to go, because it was almost 10 when he arrived. I said, I need to go. I need to go home now. Then he said to me, go home. Why go home? Yet you didn't catch anything. Are you not supposed to go for prayer? Then I looked at him, I said, what did you say? Then he changed the story. He changed the story completely. Then I said, but are you a Christian? Are you born again? He said, I'm not. I don't go to church. Then I said, but you said, because there's something strange that you said. I said, I'm going home now, but you said you can't go home, you have to go for prayer, because I didn't catch it. Because that's exactly what I do every day. Is it because you are seeing me every time? Do you work here? He said, I don't stay here. I don't stay here. But to me, it was strange. Then I began to think, maybe this person stays somewhere close by. Maybe he would see me leaving this place, going up the mountain, or maybe something like that. Then he then asked me a question that I cannot tell you here. When I was about to answer that question, he picked the exact words from my mouth. The exact words. Then I said, are you sure you don't go to church? And he said, don't keep asking me about that question. I told you, he actually said, I don't believe in going to church. That's what he told me. This man was in an overall coat. One of his leg was actually folded. The trousers, quite old. So I was now unpacking my rod. You know, it was very, very long, so you would join it in between and then and then I was preparing my thing. I said, now I have to go for prayers. Like you said, I was just laughing with him, like you said. I said, okay. And then I said to him, now I'm leaving you. He said, okay, I can accompany you for now. And then we left the place, we left the dame. And then to my amazement, I realized after passing the tallest mountain, that all along from the dam, he was in front. I was behind him. We were talking. I realized after passing the first mountain that he is the one who was in the front, leading the way. Okay. Leading the way. So we got to this, after the bigger mountain, there was a small river that was passing by. And then he said, you know this river never runs dry, this river. It's always flowing, except for this year. This is the only time that this river is dry. There's always enough water in this river that feeds into that little dam. That's why they created that dam. It was because of this river. And I said, but you said you don't stay here in this village. And he said, yes, I don't stay here. But I said, but you are saying this river has never gone dry. And he started laughing. He said, I know where the river is coming from. Maybe that's where I stay. That's what he said. I don't stay here, but maybe I know where the river is coming from, and that's where I stay. He was saying some strange things. Now I'm realizing beyond that mountain now that this man was in front all along. How does he know? Right. When we got to that place where I would spend most of the day praying, he got there, he sat on the rock. So I said to him, I wanted to know whether he knew. I said, are we still going or you just want to rest? And then he started laughing again. That day, from the time that we arrived, it was still AM, until around 4. I didn't pray that day. We were talking. We were talking things that, some of the things that I'm seeing happening today were discussed. Now when we were done, he took a stick and he gave me another stick, and then he took his and he said, normally when you're going down the mountain, you need to be using sticks. So when we're coming back now, he said, you can lead the way. So we were coming down that mountain, and I said, but you're going back. You said you don't stay in the village. Where are you going? I asked him that question, and then I repeated the question. I said, you are going back with me, but you said you don't stay here. You see how mine is right, like in the center of a very huge forest. There are you don't find locations close by. It is almost like getting late, and I'm wondering, you said you don't stay in the village, and yet we are now going, all this while we are going back. He's not responding to me. Then at that moment, that's when I turned back. Nowhere to be found. I could not find him. It wasn't like the only place where you would have green grass was all around the dam. The mountains, there was nothing, plain open. No leaves, nothing. I couldn't find him. At that moment, I had a rush in my body. It was like my head just split. The pain was so terrible. I had goosebumps all over, and my hair stood up like that. I couldn't see the man. How I lost the stick that I was carrying. I came down that mountain, shaken. It took me days to recover from that experience. But the following day, though I wasn't feeling well, I said, was that a vision? Was that a dream? What was that all about? I had to go back to the dam. I went back to the dam. I had to look for that place where he sat on. The grass was still in that same shape, folded. As a sign somebody really was sitting there. And from that place, imagine, pastors, I followed the footsteps. I had to follow those footsteps to this exact place where we spent the day. I was seeing my foot and his foot. We were together. But then I said, this man, I have to find you. Finding his feet, even mine, coming down that mountain, I couldn't. Because I wanted to know, how did he just disappear? So I could see his foot going, but coming back, nothing. I didn't find anything. Then I knew this was a certain man. The following day, though I wasn't feeling well, I said, let me go back and fish. If I tell you how many types of fish that I caught in that little dam, you won't even believe it. You won't even believe it. Types of fish that they've never found in that dam. 2 days after that experience, I went back to fish. Though my body was so weak, they are masters, these people, when it comes to disguising themselves. They are bodies, people that appear to be physical on the earth today. who are there to govern territories. Are you sensitive enough to notice the difference? The Bible tells us that you should always entertain strangers. For some entertained angels unawares. Whoever taught us that angels have wings wanted us to miss them when they appear. You are now discerning angels by their physical appearance. If you go by discerning the spirits of individuals, you will understand there are people present today who may seem to be like your next door. They come here on earth, they build houses. They can stay together as human beings, and yet both of them are not